Let's compare that to going the other direction. We ask ourselves, would it be easier for life to exist on the third dimensional level, like us, or on a lower dimensional level, like a second dimensional level? Consider the difficulty of the universe being able to produce a sentient being on a two-dimensional level. We are talking about a being that could have area, but no volume. So, how could something like that even exist? It seems almost impossible. We're talking about an artist drawing something on a sheet of paper, two-dimensional. And how could that be sentient? Perhaps if we consider that it might be possible to write a computer program that is an artificial intelligence that could learn, and it becomes sentient and self-aware. Since you can write a computer program on a sheet of paper, maybe it would be possible to have life on a two-dimensional level, but even then you would need a computer to run the thing, and a computer is not two-dimensional. However, the flow of electrons, well, anyways, maybe. But it seems like it's far more difficult for life to exist on a lower dimensional level than a higher dimensional level. And if we look even further down to where we say, could life exist on a one-dimensional level, we're talking about points at this point. So it seems like it really becomes more and more and more difficult for life to get into the lower dimensional levels of existence as opposed to the higher dimensional ones. Also, a being that exists on a higher dimensional level would come off as very godlike if it were to interact with a sentient level of existence that is on a lower dimensional level. So, take for example, if there were sentient life on a two-dimensional level of existence, and we knew about it and we figured out a way to interact with it, the concept of us being able to take a three-dimensional object, like a cup of coffee, and simply pick it up and move it across the table. That's it. That concept would be so far beyond what a two-dimensional being would understand, it would blow their mind. They could probably barely wrap their minds around what a three-dimensional object is, let alone our ability to change what may or may not affect their entire universe just by moving a three-dimensional object, which is so simple for us. But to them, they're two-dimensional. They don't understand things like that. So then take for us a being that exists and has mastery over a fourth dimensional level of existence, fifth dimensional level of existence, and so on. As it becomes more and more complex, the amount of things that it could do, as easily as we can move a cup of coffee across the table, we would look at it and say, we don't even understand what's happening. Alright, let's talk about the second way that a immaterial being, if that's what you want to call spiritual, could exist. Consider what evolution does. Evolution takes what works and perpetuates it, and it takes what doesn't work and it casts it by the wayside. So if evolution takes what works and perpetuates it and improves upon it, well then, what is it that allows us to dominate this planet? Is it our outrageously useful body armor that we have built into us? Is it our amazingly good fangs? Is it that poison stinger that we have? Is it the wings that we can use to fly? No, that's not what allows us to dominate this planet. Instead, what's so valuable that allows us to rule this world is up here. Our ability to think, our ability to learn, our ability to gain experience. That's what's so valuable. In terms of evolution, does it make much sense to have such an incredibly valuable thing that allows the domination of an entire planet by a single species, and then for evolution to simply disregard the importance of that ability, our intelligence? Does it make much sense for us to gain all of this knowledge, all of this experience, and then to have it all simply discarded? Like it's not worth anything? How much more valuable would it be if we were able to record or hold on to all of this knowledge after we're dead? For evolution to come up with some capacity for the physical body to die, but for that which is valuable, all of this experience and knowledge, to be maintained somehow. It would then make quite a bit of sense for life to come up with a way to store and preserve that which is so valuable, that which has demonstrated itself to be one of the most successful strategies that has ever been tried on this planet before, this self-awareness. It doesn't seem impossible to me for a system to already be in place where we can die physically, but for that which makes us, our soul, our mind, our consciousness, our memories, however you want to describe it, there would be a system that takes that and preserves it. If you think about it, we have already developed a system that sort of allows something similar. Writing. We write things down, we draw pictures, we have graphs, we have tables, and data in that capacity can survive past the lifespan of the people who created it. Of course, now we use computers and digital recording media to record such things, but we have a system for preserving data beyond the point where the person who created it has died. And has that worked out well for us? Of course it has. How much more advanced is the world now in terms of our species because of writing and recording formerly gained knowledge and experience? Imagine what the world would be like if we couldn't write anything down. No one could ever record anything. The only way it could be done is for a person to physically tell another person their experiences, and once that person is dead, their experiences are gone. Of course, this method, through recording data and then perpetuating it to future generations, has allowed our species to become far more powerful in dominating this planet than we would be if we didn't have such a method. So then, how much more sense does it make for evolution to have some sort of mechanism for us to do similarly? Alright, here's a third way for an immaterial, intangible being to exist. I like this one because this is a way for us to do it. Consider the medical industry. What is the medical industry's goal? The medical industry's goal is to effectively perpetuate people's lifespans for as long as until they're sick of it. If you think about it, it's to take a person and take them in a condition where something is threatening their life and fix that problem so that they in fact do not die, and they are able to perpetuate their life longer than they would otherwise be able to without the medical system, and for that perpetuated life to maintain as high a standard of living as possible. Let me restate the goal of the medical industry without beating around the bush. We want to find out a way to live forever, or at least until we don't want to anymore. The medical industry is taking amazing strides forward every single year. It may not be within our lifetimes, but I am thoroughly confident that the medical industry will figure out how to eventually take a human being and perpetuate their existence for as long as until that person chooses to stop perpetuating it. At that time, we are going to have a problem on this planet if we are not able to colonize other planets, because we have a system of limited resources on this planet, and given our technology today, if no one ever died anymore, the amount of resources that, with our level of technology today, we are able to produce would be exceeded by the demand simply by the amount of people needing those resources to sustain themselves. So, what would we do to solve that problem? Of course, if we did not solve that problem, there would be conflict over available resources. So, what could we do? There already exists a machine which can read brainwaves. It's called an electroencephalograph. It is used for the diagnosis of mental problems, Alzheimer's, ADHD, autism, various things like that. What if we invented a machine that could scan a person's brain? It could scan all that they are and translate that into data that it could save. Now, how would we save that data? We would need to save it on a hard drive, similar to the way we save data on computers now. But we would need to invent a new technology. It would need to be exceedingly more efficient in terms of data compression than what we can muster today. We might need for this super hard drive to store data on DNA chemically, and we can read and write to and from this DNA, and this method would be highly more efficient. We could maintain its small size as a hard drive and yet house as much data as a human mind can hold. Another way to do it might be to simply learn enough about the human mind that we can build a machine that holds on to our consciousness in the exact same way that our brains do. So then imagine that we make regular scans of everybody who's alive. And if they get killed in an accident, if they get a terrible disease, or even if they're just getting old and their mind starts slipping, we can take the last moment when they were still at a reasonable mental peak, and we can take that copy and copy everything that they are and put it on this hard drive. So imagine if you've got this person and they are dying, they are on their deathbed, and we scan them and we take all that they are and then we put it on this hard drive instead, so that they effectively don't die. Their body dies, but they are still in existence. Now, what is that doing? That's really just taking a soul and putting it in a mechanical box, isn't it? So what would we then do with that hard drive? What would we do with it? We could upload it to the internet. The reason why this is important is because we want for the person to be able to live forever, or for as long as they want to anyways, but we can't have them continue to exist on Earth. We don't have the room, we don't have the resources, it's simply not feasible. And at the same time, we can't tell people to stop breeding. It's not going to happen. It's going against human nature. So what we need to have is a system where people can still be born, live, breed, and effectively die, except we can let them live past the point where they are effectively dead. So they can continue living even though their turn as having a body on Earth is over.